Premiering soon on GRTS, Talking Tech and Business. The first ever technology and business show where we explore Gambia's digital evolution, newest trends in technology, and how it impacts on our lives daily. We will also explore the world of business in the Gambia. Talking Tech and Business, coming soon on GRTS.
Did you miss the round one of the Kids Podium, the biggest, most exciting and most followed kids event in the Gambia? Do not miss another big round of the Kids Podium, bringing together contestants across the country for another tough round of public speaking. The bright stars will be there to perform and the bangers block.
My heart is swelling, it's swelling, it's swelling for you. Everything that I'm loving you, oh baby.
Kids Podium Round 2, 12th of October at Naus Hall. Time 3 p.m. Entrance is free. Be there. More sponsors invited.
Studios on MDI Road. This is the news with me, Winifred Nicole, but first, the headlines. Strengthening transitional justice, Justice Minister Abubakar Tambedu announces a $50 million support to victims of former President Jammeh's human rights violations. Regional authorities and communities in the Kanifing municipality abreast themselves with the work of the National Human Rights Commission during a day's consultative forum. Protecting the country's coastal zone, Youth in Action Group plants 200 coconut saplings along the coastal line behind the State House in Banjul. And authorities in Senegal provides free cancer screening for women to boost awareness on early detection as the world observes Cancer Awareness Month. Well, all that and much more coming ahead. The Minister of Justice, Abubakar Tambedu, on Monday convened a press conference to brief the media on the $50 million payment to the TRRC Victims Trust Fund. The lump sum is earmarked to assist in the reparation process of victims of former President Jammeh's human rights violations. Uminjai has the details.
Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission was established under an Act of Parliament with a key mandate to research and investigate past human rights violations under the 22 years of former President Yahya Jammeh's rule in order to contribute to seeking justice for the victims. A year on, halfway into its mandate of 2 years investigation, the Commission have already brought in a significant number of victims of human rights violations under Jammeh's tyrannical rule. Those victims wouldn't be left alone in total pain and suffering. A victims trust fund initiated by the TRRC not too long. This fund will attract proceeds gained from the sole assets of former President Yahya Jammeh meant to assist the reparation process.
Based on revelations at the TRRC over the past 1 year, that former President Jammeh was a central pillar in the infrastructure of terror and human rights abuses that were unleashed on ordinary Gambians and others under his leadership. Consequently, the government deems it most fitting and just that reparations for his victims should be granted directly from his wealth and assets.
The government, through the Minister of Justice, Honorable Abubakar Tambedu, announces a $50 million support to the victims of Yahya Jammeh's autocratic rule.
It is with great pleasure that I announce to you the decision of the government of the Gambia to contribute to the TRRC Victims Trust Fund an initial amount of $50 million with immediate effect.
Chairman Lamin Sise, responding to the minister's announcement, emphasized the importance of assisting the reparations process. Victims, he said, deserve utmost support and shouldn't be left behind, cognizant of the brutal separations they went through under Jammeh.
$50 million is a splendid contribution to be made by the government to the reparations fund that we have established, announced a few weeks ago. The victims deserve this kind of attention. They are the ones who really suffered enormously under 22 years of dictatorship and tyranny, brutalities that you have heard in the proceedings of the TRRC.
A milestone achievement in the process of bringing back justice for the victims, with the Gambia government setting the pace. The Victims Center are key in the process.
It is another milestone achievement and a vote of confidence to the mandate of the TRRC. With this commitment and responsibility taken by the Gambia government, and victims are well assured that the reparation is a serious business for the TRRC.
The announced $50 million payment to the TRRC Victims Trust Fund, according to Justice Minister Abubakar Tambedu, is one of many payments that are earmarked at helping the reparations process for the victims of Jammeh's brutality. Minister Tambedu called on the private sector to join the reparation drive. Ominjai, GRTS.
Still on human rights issues, National Human Rights Commission on Monday held a day's consultative forum in Kanifing Municipality as part of their nationwide popularization tour. According to officials, the tour is aimed at sensitizing regional authorities and communities on the work of the Commission. Yero Jallo has more on that.
Nationwide popularization tour headed by the Commission's chairperson, Justice Emmanuel Juve. So officials meeting regional authorities, traditional leaders, and community members in the metropolis. The Commission, which is mandated to promote and protect fundamental human rights, has launched an outreach program to meet those whose rights were violated. At the Kanifing Municipal Council, the Deputy Mayor Musa Ba highlighted the human rights challenges confronting the municipality, adding that more needs to be done by the newly established Human Rights Commission to address the situation.
That is the National Human Rights Commission. I think this is a very well commended initiative. The fact that we all know that human rights, it's about moral principles, which is something that each and every being should be disciplined in a manner that can help to try to sow what we can call peace, that someday could germinate and bear what a fruit called peace.
Several other speakers at the meeting welcomed the establishment of the Human Rights Commission and called for closer collaboration between law enforcement agents and civilians to avoid the occurrence of human rights violations in the country. Justice Emmanuel Juve, chairman of the Human Rights Commission, underscored the importance of the consultation exercise and urged people to report perpetrators of human rights.
We have a jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction is to hear matters of human rights violation only after the act had come into effect. And the act was gazetted in January 2018. So the act here is not looking at the past human rights violations of the former regime, for example. That is under the purview of the TRRC. Our act is forward-looking, unless, of course, a human rights violation that has occurred is still occurring. Then the Human Rights Commission can actually look into those human rights violations.
The talk continues. For Grts News, this is Yero Jallo reporting.
Meanwhile, Muslim elders headed by the Imam Ratib of Banjul and top executives of the Supreme Islamic Council continue a major peace-building tour meeting communities across the country to promote and strengthen national unity. The delegation met with religious elders in the Central River region settlements of Kawur, Jangjambure, and Basse. In Sierra, the tour party was received by Governor Sheriff Abasanyang, who welcomed the religious leaders and district chiefs to his region, whilst highlighting the need for collaboration and collective efforts to sustain peace. Religious leaders are touring the country to build peace and encourage social cohesion amid the implementation of the transitional justice, restoring democratic rule after a long dark spell of repression. Local communities have largely welcomed the initiative, with the population echoing the need for increased tolerance to maintain peace and stability for sustainable development and a robust democracy. The tour party heads to the Upper River region with meetings scheduled in Basse and Mansakonko in the Lower and Upper River regions, respectively. Moving on, members of the United Mission, the Gambia, on Sunday received Joseph Sheringa, the Regional Director of United Mission Zone Africa 1 at the Banjul International Airport. United Mission Regional Director is in the country to preside over the launching of the United Mission Gambia, slated for 12th October. Janke Toure tells us more.
United Mission the Gambia is a charitable organization registered in May 2019 with the vision to see a just and transformed society by divine love of a practice and taught by human beings in the world. United Mission Gambia chapter received Joseph Sheringa, the Regional Director United Mission Zone Africa 1 at the Banjul International Airport. The purpose of Director Sheringa's visit is to preside over official launch of the organization, slated for the 12th October 2019.
I'm here to launch a program of reformation and also construction of churches that we've done in so many nations in Africa.
The objective of the organization is to raise awareness of Gambians as well support socio-economic initiatives aimed at mitigating economic inequalities in the country. Director Sheringa outlined some of the thematic areas they will focus on during the launch ceremony.
We have three programs running. One that First one is about the change of mindset, that's reformation, and level of consciousness. We need to increase the level of consciousness of the people. There's another program that takes care of the welfare of religious leaders. The work has started already, and we know that there is recruitment going on, and we will first of all try to train the people. We will also have to need to meet the government to see if this program meets the need of the people, meet the need of the nation.
With a rousing welcome, the guest was escorted to the organization's head office in Kotu, where he further spoke on the activities of the proposed program.
N'oubliez pas que notre fonction en tant que missionnaire, c'est de pouvoir...
As you know, the mission that God gave us is to alleviate suffering, is to eradicate poverty from the life of the people, and that's the mission that God gave us, and that's what we want to do here in the Gambia.
Papa Dominic Da Costa, National Administrator, United Mission Gambia, highlighted the importance of the launching of the project, noting their aim is to impact the lives and well-being of Gambians.
Basically, the first thing that we think about in doing is to help in the change of mentality. The most important thing is if Gambians are being helped, are being established, are being trained to become responsible people, to become people who seek the good of the order, then we would have a society that is of very good standing. So the second aspect that we look into is actually the infrastructural development, which actually ranges from the education sector, the health sector, and the agricultural sector.
Officials of United Mission Gambia chapter hope the launching of the project will immensely go a long way in complementing government's development efforts. Reporting for the news, I am Jankature.
A local organization called Youth in Action Group, in partnership with Africa Organic, recently planted 200 coconut saplings along the coastal line behind the State House in Banjul. The exercise forms part of their coastal coconut project aimed at mitigating coastal erosion. The event was also graced by students, mainly from Kampama Lower Basic School, who were sensitized on the significance of the project. Yero Jallo has the rest of that story.
Amongst the most visible impact of climate change on Banjul are the sea level rise and coastal erosion. While thanking the volunteers for the initiative, the Deputy Lord Mayor of Banjul, Omar Toure, stressed the importance of the project, noting that the planted seedlings will fully grow, will help mitigate the adverse effects of climate change and protect the coastline from obliteration.
What we are doing here today is very important. As far as our city is concerned, our country, and climate change for that matter. And it's good that we involve the young ones, students, to come and grace this occasion and be part of it.
Sandy Martins of African Organics made similar remarks. She cited the venture as a manifestation of the youth group's commitment to combating climate change. Ms. Martin further applauded the idea of inviting school children to grace the occasion, noting that the event will enlighten them on the adverse effects of climate change on our environment and ways of mitigating the phenomenon.
I'm so impressed with how everybody, this whole thing has come together, and the passion and the belief in what they're doing. I'm so impressed with how well-informed the young people are in this country. I was not aware that they were so well-informed, and they completely understand the relevance of this planting.
Various speakers at the event, including youth advisor to the President Musa Jeng, and joined the initiators venture into more similar projects, saying the environmental protection should be everyone's business. He described the gesture as encouraging and a testimony that the youth folk are determined to take charge of the destiny of their country.
I would want to advise the youth to be very, very, obedient to parents. Obedient in the sense that you don't go out of control. This you should avoid. The country belongs to you. Some of us has lived up to this age, we are not expecting to live longer than this. So the struggle was entirely for the youths. Please listen to the elderly and behave.
For his part, the project coordinator Omar Jallo underscored the importance of coconut plants to coastal erosion. He said in 2009, the association embarked on a similar project behind the Atlantic Hotel in Banjul. The planted sparklings, he noted, have now grown to maturity and they have helped to protect the beach behind the hotel from destruction.
We have been on this development for 10 years. So still now we have been a replica of the same success story. So that's a way forward. So I'm thanking everybody from the Lord Mayor and the Banjul City Council, from the President's Advisor at the State House. I'm saying everybody thank you. The coconut project is still continuing. And it's all just in preparation of the bigger project. Banjul Austin Lake. We all know a lot of coconuts will be planted in Banjul. So this will send a sense of sensitization that Banjul, this coconut is yours. You are the beneficiaries. This coconut will benefit you people.
Jallo said the newly planted sparklings will help to protect the State House from erosion and called on BCC to take ownership of the sparklings and help nurture them to maturity. He spoke of their desire to plant more coconut plants across the coastline from Banjul to Katong. For Grts News, this is Yero Jallo reporting.
Operatives of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency on Monday briefed the press on the agency's latest activities aimed at tackling the abuse and trafficking of illicit drugs in the Gambia. Patujiba tells us more.
Officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have briefed the press following a meeting with restaurant and nightclub operators on the alleged abuse of prohibited drugs that takes place openly in the said places. The spokesperson of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Usman Seidiba, had this to say.
As the agency mandated by law to regulate the use and possession of both controlled and prohibited drug, felt that inasmuch as we are intensifying our interdiction and legal capacity with regard to supply suppression, on the drug demand reduction front, there is a need for us to call them, engage them, and make it known to them, caution them that we know that this is happening and we're going to put a stop to it, and that they also have a responsibility to ensure that they do not knowingly allow or falter any of those activities to take place within their premises because it's against the law.
PRO Sediba further disclosed the arrest of a Bissau Guinean with 103 plates of suspected cocaine.
He was on his way to Las Palmas trying to board Binta Canary. It's also important to note that this is the third Bissau national that has been nabbed within this month. And all these three Bissau nationals were all traveling via Las Palmas and are all holding valid European passport. We know that the West African region continue to be very vulnerable. So on that note, we ask the public to continue to be very alert.
According to anti-narcotics officials, the abuse and trafficking of illicit drugs continues to pose serious threat to national and socio-economic development.
The reality is, we know that this issue of drug is becoming a problem, especially for our young ones. And if that is the reality, we must not give a blind eye to it. We must not see it as a problem solely for law enforcement, but a problem that everybody needs to join the bandwagon in order for us to give a solution to this particular problem.
Officials of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency called for a collaborative effort to eradicate the menace of drugs in the Gambia. Fatou Deba, Grts News.
To the Lower River region now, where the manager's Strengthening Women Economic Initiative project has hailed strides in empowering rural women. Sajo Kamara was speaking to Grts in summer at the end of her monitoring tour at the project intervention sites in rural Gambia. Our regional correspondent Al-Hajimba reports the project is being implemented by Action Aid International, the Gambia.
Rural women play an important role in economic growth for sustainable development, but have limited access to economic empowerment initiatives such as credit and business training. Empowering them is crucial to agriculture and economic development given their large presence in the two sectors, according to Saja Kamara, the project manager strengthening women's economic initiative project, adding that empowering women is key in national development.
Looking at their economic empowerment, which is very, very vital, that I've been saying all over. It is vital in the sense that women, when they are independent economically, they tend to support their families. And it is not only that, but they contribute to the development of their children. They support their husbands and then ensure that the children are healthy, they're educated, you know, and they're doing all those things. That is why I think Strengthening Women's Economic Initiative is doing a lot to ensure that women are socio-economically empowered.
Kamara acknowledged the strides made in the empowerment of women in the country, citing interventions made in the economic activities of rural women by her project. She, however, urges women to avoid complacency.
A lot have been done so far, looking at the series of vegetable gardens that have been developed. And they're not just developed for women to go and work and then go home like that. But I think a lot of things have been done in these gardens that really the women to take gardening as a business, not just a seasonal thing, but it is something they do both in the dry season and in the wet season. These gardens, they have what we call wetting sheds, they have toilets, they're fully fenced, and then the fence is so strong that nothing can intrude and destroy their vegetable production. So out of that, I think the women are generating a lot of income.
Women empowerment initiatives from various donor agencies and stakeholders usually focused on the empowerment of women groups instead of individuals. Madam Kamara, however, suggests that empowering individual women who are economically vulnerable could make a huge difference in improving their economic status.
We also have supported some individual women with milling machines. You know, the approach used to be supporting women groups. But now we think it is important to support individual women. Look at those women who are really needy in the society. Give them these milling machines to work on their own and then to empower themselves economically. The project have also supported some women with small ruminances, and I think in that aspect also the women are doing very well. Some of them have even changed their goods into cows, and some of them have sell and then do some savings and use the profit to support their family.
Several beneficiaries shared their success stories from the support derived from the project. They also called for more support for women farmers across the country to access markets, storage facilities, and food processing techniques to improve their lives and livelihoods. Alhajimbai, GRTS News.
Well, that report by Alhajimbai takes us to our fourth break. The sports news is up next. Do stay with us. Back. The Gambia women's beach volleyball team is for another international competition after several weeks of preparations ahead of the competition. Our reporter Modula Minsane visited the team's last training session before traveling to Qatar for the World Beach Games Championship, and this is his report.
This is the last training session for the Gambia's women's beach volleyball team ahead of the World Beach Volleyball Championship in Qatar. The World Beach Games would be the first major assignment for the newly appointed national team coach Marie Wada, just a month after her appointment to lead the national team.
The objective is simple. Really we're going there to compete, not to only compete, but also we want to compete and then come with a result. We really understand that we're playing at the highest level. And this is the first time Gambia is being represented at the highest level at the World Beach Game. But nonetheless, we are focused and then we are prepared both mentally and physically, to compete for these World Beach Games.
After weeks of preparation, the new coach and her charges are set to fly out of the country to take part in the World Beach Volleyball Championship.
We are going there to better perform, do our level best, at least to raise the Gambian flag high. That may assure the Gambian people. and then we are urging for their prayers and then their support for this team, really.
Team players say they are ready to make a mark on the global games by bringing gold for the country and maintain the records set by the Gambia's volleyball team in recent competitions.
You also be optimistic about this because it's not easy. This is different from the beach volleyball 2x2 games. It's the 4x4 and it is new to all other nations that are going to participate. We expect the best of performance from all of us, and I expect also the Gambians to cheer us up and then watch us for goal. This is really a great task that I must endeavor to do as a citizen of the nation.
Team Gambia is expected to travel to Qatar for the competition, and with hopes high about their chances, the players remain in positive mood as they aim to deliver goal country. Mood Lamin Sane, GRTS Sports.
Well, we wish them the best of luck. Well, over now to news from outside the Gambia. As the world observes Cancer Awareness Month, authorities in Senegal have been providing free screening for women in a bid to boost awareness about early detection. Well, details in the CGTN report.
Baptized Pink October, the campaign pulled hundreds of women to the free screening. The day is meant to help diagnose and initiate early treatment for suspected cases.
Since 2010, when we initiated this program, we have allowed 12,000 women to benefit from subsidized mammograms. More than 18,000 women have been consulted for breast cancer screening. We have also allowed more than 12,200 women to be screened for cervical cancer. We raised awareness among several other people.
The drive was held at the headquarters of the Senegalese League for Cancer Control. Here, doctors took the opportunity to provide advice on cancer risk factors.
We want to encourage women to be examined, to have mammograms for small cancer detection, which reduces the length of treatment and increases the chances of success.
I came from the commune of Rufisque for cancer screening. I am aware that even as a young girl, we know that risk still exists. This disease spares no one, and it is after learning about the consequences that it generates that I felt it necessary to be diagnosed, especially since it is free today. I came out happy because I am cancer-free.
However, for some like our Florence Lee, the treatment process continues.
I felt pains in the breast, and I did several consultations in the various local hospitals and clinics. I spent a lot of money without achieving the desired result, and it was after a biopsy performed on the recommendation of a doctor that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
This screening campaign takes place every October. Free checkups are one of the ways to ensure quick treatment of cancer patients and the reduction of mortality rates. Astatal, CGTN.
Well, dozens of climate activists set to take to the streets again this week as they seek to challenge governments to take concrete actions in reducing the effects of climate change. Protesters say mass civil disobedience is the only way to force political action. Well, details of that in the CGTN report.
Extinction Rebellion turns 1 this month, but the movement has little time for retrospection. Instead, the environmental group is planning its biggest act of civil disobedience to date, a worldwide campaign that aims to paralyze dozens of cities across the globe.
I have got 4 small young children, and I want to be able to look them in the eye when they're adults and tell them that when I found out the extent and the severity of the crisis that we are in for our climate and our ecological systems, that I did absolutely everything within my power to be able to try and reverse that and do what I can to change that.
Today, Extinction Rebellion's biggest achievement arguably came in early this year. In April, the group's activists occupied 4 sites in the British capital of London, leading to the arrest of more than 700 demonstrators. However, this time round, Extinction Rebellion says its campaign, which is scheduled to kick off today, will be much bigger and better organized. According to the movement, governments are yet to meet their demands.
We don't want to be disruptive, we just want climate action, but nothing else has worked so far.
The campaigners want countries to declare a climate and ecological emergency. They also say greenhouse gas emissions must be reduced to zero by 2025.
And our governments are lying to us about the state of the climate and ecological emergency. It's time for action, and it's time for the Australian public to be able to understand the message that our government is not telling us for their own interests.
The major events planned around the world include Australia, Germany, Spain, and the United States, among others. The global action follows similar worldwide demonstrations by youth activists. Last week, hundreds of thousands of young people around the world took part in strikes to demand action on climate change. Alexandria Majala for CGTN.
Well, before we wrap up this newscast, a look once again on our headlines. Strengthening transitional justice, Justice Minister Abubakar Tambedu has announced a $50 million support to victims of former President Jammeh's human rights violations. Regional authorities and communities in the Kanifing municipality have been abreast themselves with the work of National Human Rights Commission during a day's consultative forum. Protecting the country's coastal zone, Youth in Action Group have planted 200 coconut saplings along the coastline behind the State House in Banjul. And authorities in Senegal have been providing free cancer screening for women to boost awareness on early detection as the world observes Cancer Awareness Month. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 10 from me, Winifred Nicole, and the entire news team. Thanks for watching, and do have a peaceful night.
Reggae zone to the world. Coming from the Kiambia, the Smiling Course, article slice on GRTS TV. Proudly presents you the very best of reggae dancehall and classic revival. Interviews, live shows, countdown videos, stereo checks, only on GRTS TV. Next number one TV, one station, hosted by Article Slice, produced by Maxi Pro, powered by GRTS TV. Nation's number one, the Gambia, West Africa, the Smiling Coast, are the best coast. Article Slice are the anchor. Boop.